Are you looking to refine your sales team and increase your company's revenue? Leading your sales team is an ongoing improvement process. Join Harry Newhan from Eric Lofholm International as he interviews top sales managers in the world. Discover the best practices that rocket them and their teams towards success. Boost your recruitment, motivation, and training techniques, leading you to build a top-producing, synergetic sales team. Welcome to CSI for Sales Managers.
Well, hello everybody. Harry Newhan back on the air here with a special guest. And we are with Continuous Sales Improvement for Sales Managers. And I've got an exciting guest here. I actually met through Eric Lofholm International. His name is Ron Price. Ron's got an amazing resume, too long for me to go through it. So I'm going to ask him to go through some of it. But just so you know, he is an author, speaker, trainer, and considers himself a humorist. And we're going to get some fun in here today as well as business. Not going to be all business, but we'll get some fun and make it a fun day. So without further ado, let's go ahead and find out a little bit about Ron. I met him again through Eric Lofholm International. I've only heard bits and pieces, so a lot of this is going to be new for me too. So hang on to your seats and we'll get started. Ron, how are you today?
Harry, I'm well. So glad to be with you, and thank you for those kind words. They're appreciated, sir.
Awesome. Well-deserved. And we'll find out all the specifics, or most of the specifics here in a bit. So tell us a little bit about you before we get into the interview, because our audience, they want to know you're a real person. They're out there, in the field, managing salespeople and managing teams. And they'd like to know, the personal side as well, whatever you feel like you're willing to share, married, kids, single, whatever you want, or just tell us about your business. Go ahead.
Let me, I think I can do this in 2 minutes or less, but let me start on July 6th, 1977. That was a turning point in my life. I got married on July 6th, 1977. We probably should have waited one day. Harry, I could have gotten married on 7/7/77. It might have been a luckier day. We don't know.
Wow.
Because we didn't make it. Like so many, we didn't make it. No kids. So when I got divorced, I got totally divorced. And happy to tell you now, I am remarried, and my wife and I are going to have our 41st wedding anniversary in December. So
wow.
Obviously I learned a thing or two, or I found the right one for me.
Yeah, congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you. But in 1987, I saw an ad in our local paper that they were starting a new program called Divorce Custody Mediation. And Harry, I had no idea what that was, but I was drawn to it. I was compelled to respond and find out. And I found out that if parents are going to get divorced and they have children, don't make a total stranger judge decide what to do with those children. The parents should decide. Well, Harry, I don't know you personally enough. I don't know if you've ever been divorced, but I know you know people who have. Boy, it's not so easy for them to talk with each other. And so they assign them to a mediator. And for 29 years, Harry, I put myself between divorcing parents who didn't like each other very much at all. If that doesn't tell you I'm a sick man, I don't know what will. But, it was always a great joy to watch people come into my office bitter, hostile, upset with one another, and leave not best buds, but at least able to work together, able to put their differences aside for the moment to focus on what the children needed. That was always a great blessing. I enjoyed that. I don't do it for the courts anymore. But over the years, Harry, I saw people getting divorced who, in my opinion, should be getting divorced. I'm nobody's judge, but I could understand why they were splitting up. I saw a lot of couples, Harry, getting divorced over what I considered trivial matters. Wow. But I didn't know what to do about that. So I started looking into it. I got a master's in counseling. I started going to marriage education conferences. And I learned how to help people have healthy relationships. So from that, I started writing a newspaper column. And from that, I started writing some books in my Play Nice in Your Sandbox series, which I imagine we'll get to in a few moments. But I think that's probably enough to answer your question for now, or do you want more?
Well, that's a great start, Ron. I really appreciate you being authentic and sharing that. And yes, I have been divorced actually twice. I'm a great dad and I thought was a great husband, but apparently I'm not meant for, I should say a great partner. Apparently I'm not good at marriages, because I've been in a relation now for 8.5 years, and it's fantastic. So And I do have 4 children and did go through that. So I probably could have used your talents and expertise back then.
Well, Harry, let me tap into that just for a moment, if I may. I'm going to tell you where you went wrong in getting married, if I may. If I may be so bold, can I tell you your
Saying
mistake?
I do.
You married a human being, Harry. I don't
Yeah,
know what you were thinking, but you married an imperfect person. Well, guess what? So did your wife.
that's
And we'd
exactly right.
underestimate the fact that two imperfect people cannot easily and readily form a perfect relationship. They need to know how to do that, and most people don't. Most people are not equipped for how to handle marriage. It's a special relationship, and if you're not prepared for it, you're probably going to fail. You're probably
You know,
going to fail.
I'm really glad you brought this topic up, Ron, because this can actually segue into our topic for sales managers. Because what you do, I'm putting pieces together in my mind, but I want you to elaborate. How could your talent and what you do and what you've done, how could that apply to sales managers? Because we're dealing with imperfect human beings all day long in our people that we're managing and teaching and training and trying to mentor. So I can see friction, and what you do really help that and bridge that gap. Why don't you share with us how that pieces together, if you care to?
I sure do. I sure do, Harry. And you're so right. Relationships are relationships. Now, again, sibling relationships, a special relationship, workplace, supervisor, employee, owner, manager. There's different types of relationship, marriage relationship. But at the end of the day, although I hate that expression, re-
Yeah.
relationships are relationships. It's you as a human being trying to deal with another human being. And so through some of the research that I found, there are 5 germs that cause marriages to fail. Harry, those same 5 germs cause workplace relationships to fail, cause people to leave their jobs. So let me do this quickly with you, and we can
Yeah,
elaborate
please do.
if you'd like.
Please do. This is good.
The first one is escalation. Escalation is where little things become big things. Now, Harry, if you tell me, Ron, well, I guess other people do that, but I've never escalated with anybody in my life. Harry, you'll lie to me about other things as well.
Yeah, right.
We've all done that. Come on, it's human. And as long as you're doing it now and then, a little dust up now and then, it's not a big deal. But if you're in a relationship at work, at home, or anywhere that that is going to blow up into World War 7522, after a while, you're going to say, I can't do this anymore. I'm leaving. I'm not going to
Yes.
work here anymore. I'm not going to live here anymore. Second germ, negative interpretation.
Oh,
Negative interpretation. And Harry, again, you've done this. I've done this. All of us have done this. One person does or says something, and the other goes, I know what you're up to. I know what you're trying to pull here. You're trying to get it over on me. It's not just misunderstanding the other, it's impugning negative motives to whatever they've said or done. Again, if it happens now and then, don't worry about it. So if you're doing negative interpretation once in a while, it's no big deal. But again, Harry, if you're in a relationship where you're frequently and regularly being accused of stuff you know you're not doing, well, that's going to get old after a while. Or you get to believing the other really is doing those hateful, hurtful, spiteful, terrible things. You're going to say, I don't have to put up with this. We're done. Third germ,
actually, before you go
invalid.
on to the third germ, Ron, forgive me for interrupting you.
No, please.
But my dad actually is the one that shared with me. He said, when you're in communication with somebody, no matter if it's friendly or whatever, just communication itself, there's there's always what you're saying, but then there's always what they're hearing, and it's not always the same thing. And that could actually, like you said, it could be interpreted as negativity when actually that wasn't the intention. And unfortunately, people don't get that clarified. They go through with that chip on their shoulder and they let it fester, thinking that you just insulted them when in fact that wasn't your intention at all. So that's a big one. Thank you for sharing that one.
On a funny note, you just popped into my mind a story. A lady was angry at her husband for 38 years
Oh,
because on their honeymoon, he gave her the heel of the bread. In her family, the heel was bad. In his family, the heel was good.
Oh
So
my
he
gosh.
thought, but they were on their honeymoon and she didn't want to bring it up, but she festered that. I mean, oh, that I should have such major problems
Wow,
as a
38
piece of bread.
years.
But it's right to your point, Harry. And you're right. We don't check. We don't check for accuracy. Did I hear you correctly? We might have a chance to come back to that in a few moments. But
Sounds good.
escalation, negative interpretation, invalidation are those subtle or not so subtle put downs of one another. Anything that says, I don't value you, I don't think very highly of you, I don't respect you. Harry, if a total stranger puts you down, insults you, you can go, well, thanks for sharing, have a nice day, and goodbye. They don't mean anything to you. But if a coworker or somebody who reports to you or a family member, if they put you down, boy, it goes to a special place of hurt. Am I making sense here?
Yeah, you sure are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you
the
sure
people
are.
that can bring us the greatest joy in life have the ability to bring us the greatest pain. You got to watch out for invalidation. You got to be very careful with your words or actions that you're not damaging the relationship.
Ron, again, I'm going to jump in here because I grew up in an entrepreneurial environment, and in my early years, my 20s, I got exposed to network marketing, and that was my first exposure to sales. And in network marketing back then, probably still today, they tell you, go to the people that you know first. And boy, this invalidation is one of the biggest things that derails so many future superstars and entrepreneurs because they get shot down by their family.
Mm.
They get shot down, arrows of the tongue, they call it. Oh, what do you know about nutrition? Or what do you know about building a business? Our family's been in the garbage business or the railroad business. What do you know about that? I grew up
Right.
in the restaurant business, helping people get fat. And here, I was selling nutritional products, helping people get skinny. What do you know about losing weight? So I know exactly what you're saying. Thanks for sharing that one.
Harry, thanks for jumping in because I want to throw something in for the sales managers that are listening to.
Yeah.
You, my friend, listen to the CIV on a regular basis. CIV is a term coined by Dr. Robert Firestone and his daughter, Dr. Lisa Firestone. It stands for critical inner voice. And Harry, again, you and I don't know each other that well yet, but I promise you, we both hear that negative voice in our minds. Now, we've learned to tell it to shut up.
Yeah.
That's not true. I don't
Right.
have to listen to every thought that comes into my mind. I don't have to enter into that conversation. But sales managers need to realize that their salespeople, I promise you, as you just said, they hear that critical inner voice. And so as a manager, if you speak that language, if you feed into that, don't expect a positive outcome. I'm not saying you have to, baby people and take them by the hand. Oh no, nice Johnny, you tried. No, come on. But we do have to realize the power of our words and our actions that they
Absolutely.
impact people.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. I've never heard of that CIV. That's a good one.
It is a good one. Look into it. There's plenty of research on it.
Thank
So,
you.
yep, yep.
So
All
number
right. So we
4.
got number 4 is avoidance withdrawal. Avoidance withdrawal. An issue comes up, and typically one person wants to talk about it and the other doesn't. So they do the dance between the one who wants to talk and the one who wants to walk. It's a very common dance. It's a very frustrating dance. It's a very fixable dance. But if you don't know the fix, then you're going to be in that situation of avoidance withdrawal. And again, now and then, don't worry about it. Frequent basis, that relationship is in trouble wherever it happens to be.
Wow.
Number 5 is not enough fun. Now, workplaces, for the most part, are not there just for the amusement and entertainment of the staff, the employees.
Right.
But you know what? Research is pretty clear that the more fun a workplace can be, the more productive people will be, and the better the bottom line. So those 5 germs, escalation, negative interpretations, invalidation, avoidance, withdrawal, and lack of fun, are destroying relationships. And Harry, I won't put you on the spot, but I promise you, you can look back in your previous relationships and go, you know what? Yeah, we had too much of that or what have you. Most people can. I know I can in my previous.
Well, these are critical not just for relationships. That's why I'm really glad that you brought these up, because these are workplace barriers that could create problems for sales managers, and that's really what our audience here is all about. And how to become a better sales manager, and knowing that these five pieces could radically change an environment, a workplace environment, is really, really helpful. I really appreciate you sharing those. Thank you.
Yeah. You
So
can think of them, real quick, Harry, as germs. Germs that will infect, sicken, and ultimately destroy any relationship in the workplace, and anywhere. And fortunately, there are antidotes to those germs, which we may or may not be getting into today. But where are we going next, my friend?
let's talk about those, because everybody that gets, viruses is on everybody's mind right now because of the environment that we've been in for the last 20 months.
Right.
And we're all looking for the magical anecdote, and whether I take the shot or whether I let nature take its course and get my own antibodies. So let's talk about the antidotes. What are some of them, and for best practices? Now that you've shared for our managers what could be a challenge in a workplace environment, what are some of those anecdotes, please?
Let's go back. I'm taking them out of order, but I said for avoidance withdrawal, it's very fixable. Let's start with that one.
Okay.
And let me gather my thoughts here for a moment. Harry, as human beings, we have a part of our brain that thinks. It's right here in the front called the frontal lobe.
Right.
And if you'll permit me, one of the very bad jokes that I tell, frontal lobe is where we get the expression, I would rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy.
Oh, that's
I'll
funny.
apologize to your audience.
Well, you said you were a humorist, so
That title was given to me, by the way, but that's another story. Frontal lobe is the seat of logic and reason and rationale and thought. It's a good place to operate from. We also have the deep limbic system, or the amygdala, which is the seat of emotions. If we're happy, we're sad, we're frustrated, we're excited, that's the part of the brain that's in operation. And Harry, what can happen to us too often is what could be called an emotional hijacking, where the emotions will take over and flood out the thought processes. And at that moment, we're probably going to make some bad decisions when it happens behind the wheel of a car.
yeah.
Road rage.
Road rage.
Intelligent people doing some very unthinking, unintelligent behaviors.
Right.
And we're all capable of it. So we got to be careful. Now, the I was going to say the trick. I don't like that word. The technique that I emphasize
There you
is
go.
call a timeout the right way. Call a timeout the right way, because if you call a timeout the wrong way, Harry, you're making it worse, not better.
Yeah,
Let me
you're
give
into that avoidance problem.
You're into that avoidance problem. That's exactly right. But that's often what happens. Two coworkers are in a dust up about something, and one of them says, "Oh, timeout," and they storm off. Well, they've maybe prevented escalation from that point on, but the person left behind is wondering, well, are we ever going to talk about this? Are we ever going to address this? What's going on? They don't know. Are you ever going to come back and we'll talk? They don't know.
Right.
So here's the deal. A timeout signal must include a time in signal. In other words,
Oh,
if you and I are upset with each other and I say to you, Harry, I can't talk to you right now. I'll be back in an hour. Let's talk then. Harry, I'm
wow.
too upset right now. I'm afraid I'm going to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. What are you doing at 3 o'clock? Can we go grab a cup of coffee? Set the time. So you're letting the person know, hey, I'm rejecting the argument. I'm not rejecting you or our ability to work together. Call a timeout the right way. You can avoid so much ugliness. You can avoid escalation. You can avoid negative interpretation. You can avoid invalidation. You can avoid avoidance withdrawal. So
That's a
calling a timeout, it's so simple.
that's a great strategy. Have a
It,
time in schedule before you walk away. That's good.
you got to do it. And it's also good to have a timeout signal in advance. I know one couple that I was working with, and again, when I say couple, this works in the workplace too. I've done a lot of training in the workplace. I teach the same skills.
Yeah, no,
They
this is
said,
this is this is important stuff, because so often we talk about increasing sales and increasing workplace camaraderie and how do you prospect. But this here gets right into the core foundation of having the right mindset when you're in the workplace to do your job most efficiently.
The people skills. There you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
and
But
personal mental skills too. Thank you so much. This is great. Go
you
ahead.
bet. You bet. So anyway, this couple, I told my, if I'm going to work with you, I want you to have a timeout signal. They said, okay. They came in the next week. I said, what's your timeout signal? They said, red. I said, red? Yeah, redirect emotional distress. I said, oh, I
Wow.
like that. I said, how about code red? Code red, danger. If we keep talking right now, we're likely to explode. We're likely to have an emotional hijacking. Code red 30 minutes. Code red 2 o'clock. Code red whatever. I think that would be wonderful for any workplace to have a preset established timeout that people realize, hey, we're stopping the argument right now. Not another word. We're going to pick up the conversation later using proactive listening or speaker listener technique or some of the other more effective means of communication that are frontal lobe to frontal lobe, amygdala to amygdala.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yep. Yep.
That's really good. Do you have another anecdote for one of the other ones that we could sneak in here before we finish up?
How much time do we have? That will determine which one.
We've got 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay, I get to tell my favorite story of
Ah,
all time.
okay.
And I'm accused of having many favorite stories, to which I plead guilty. But this one I believe is, again, anger is a very common emotion.
Yeah.
It's we've all experienced anger. But anger, Harry, is a secondary emotion. And by that I mean you're never angry just because you're angry. There's always an underlying reason why you're angry. So if you can figure out what that underlying reason is, you can probably do something about the situation. So I know these folks, Tom and Bev Rogers, they taught me that when you're angry, you should grab your thumb, look at your fingers, and think, why am I angry? What should I do about this? Grab your thumb, it's kind of an anchor, look at your fingers and think, Harry, you're forcing yourself back into the frontal lobe,
Wow.
which is a better place to operate from than the emotional brain. We need the emotional brain, come on,
Yeah.
but not to make decisions and not to speak from in hurt or pain or anger. So they tell this story, and again, it's a marriage-related story, but Harry, trust me, it has workplace application.
Yeah.
They had a couple, he was 6 foot plenty, she was 5 foot barely, and he had a problem with anger. He would come home every day and just, why isn't dinner ready? Why isn't the house picked up? Why they got blah, blah, blah. It didn't matter. He would get upset about something. She said, that's it. We're going to counseling. He agreed. And at counseling, they taught him that anger's a secondary emotion. Grab your thumb, look at your fingers, think about what you should do. He said, all right, I'll try it. And he did. And for months, no more angry outbursts in that home, because whenever he got angry, he'd grab his thumb, think, all right, I should probably go take a walk. I should probably take a nap. I should probably whatever. And he did something more constructive. And then one day he comes home and his 15-year-old daughter meets him at the door and says, Dad, can we go for a drive? She had her learner's permit. He had a shiny sports car. All right, sweetheart, he said, here are the keys to the car. Go start it, but don't move it. I'll be right out. Harry, let me put you on the spot. You give the keys to a car to a 15-year-old girl. You tell her to start it, but not move it. What do you think she might just do?
Not just any car. That was a sports car. She's pulling out of the garage or driveway.
And in this particular case, Harry, right into and over the brick mailbox.
Oh my gosh.
Dad hears the commotion, comes running out, instantly sizes up the situation, instantly starts to get angry. The daughter jumps out of the car and yells, Dad, quick, grab your thumb. Harry, I love this story, and I'm not done yet. Stay with me.
That's a great story.
Stay with me.
Go ahead.
He grabs his thumb, and he calmly walks over to his daughter, and he says, Sweetheart, there are going to be some consequences for what just happened here. You willfully disobeyed me. You're going to pay to fix the car. You're going to pay to fix the mailbox, and your mom and I are going to discuss when you'll be driving again. He said, but I want you to know this. You are my daughter. You are far more valuable, precious, and special to me than any car or any mailbox. I love you. Come here. And he gave her a father's tender, reassuring embrace. Harry, I love
Yes,
this story, and it's a true story.
it's a great story.
Do you think that girl had some inkling that maybe she had messed up? Do you think she needed a lecture on why thou shalt not drive daddy's car into and over a brick mailbox? I don't think so. She knew she had messed up. She was very vulnerable, very fragile. If he had come out with her, watcha baba, the damage he could have done to her heart, the damage he could have done to his relationship with her. And again, back to sales managers. You've got a salesperson who just blew a job, blew a big order. You can rant and rave and tear into them. They already know they messed up. You can use it perhaps as a teaching opportunity to motivate them to not let that happen again and strive for improvement. I am so glad that dad grabbed his thumb. And I encourage everyone, when your emotions are starting to get the best of you, grab your thumb and think. You're probably going to make better decisions. Call a timeout, reschedule if you need to.
Ron, that was a great story, and of course, I've got flashbacks and memories and how I handled situations, and it reminded me of a tremendous teaching point. So I'm gonna jump in here and share with our audience something that you can put it in perspective for your sales team and your company. Is adversity is inevitable. There's no way to avoid it. Adversity is inevitable. However, the way you respond or choose to react to that adversity is completely optional. And so taking that breath, whether it's grabbing a thumb or whether it's counting to 10, I like the thumb thing because it's physical and you can actually do something other than counting to 10, taking a deep breath, walking away for 30 seconds, coming in, whatever your strategic point is that you choose to do. Obviously, you're right. He could have ruined that relationship with his daughter. And I believe that the training lesson would have been missed because then she would have been focused more on the punishment and the way her dad reacted. But the way he responded actually probably strengthened that relationship and love forever. So that's a great story and great teaching point.
Yeah.
Thank you for
And
that.
Harry, let me just emphasize what you just said. We can choose to respond. We can't choose to react. Reactions are automatic, and they're usually wrong. They're usually from the emotional brain. You're going to say something you wish you hadn't said. You're going to do something you wish you hadn't done. Take a moment, pause, choose to respond. Yeah, great point. Thank you for sharing that.
That's awesome. Then thank you. These are great tips. So let's kind of wind it down. And do you have any additional thoughts on best practices that you'd like to share in your experience with relationships on the same thing as far as relationships between sales managers and their team and company?
Yeah, I do. I love to encourage people to practice AGI. Assume good intent. Harry, let me ask you a question. Be honest, be vulnerable here. Have you ever hurt, frustrated, disappointed, or offended another human being when you really didn't mean to?
Of course.
What took you so long? We've all done that. We've all done that. Well, what's the chance then if somebody is just hurt, frustrated, disappointed, or offended you? Maybe they didn't mean to. Maybe it was inadvertent, accidental. But if you react, if you go, oh yeah, then you, my friend, created the ugly situation, not them. They did whatever they did for whatever reasons. And take this one to the bank, by the way. Hurting people are going to hurt people. They don't scheme it, plan it, think it out. If I'm hurting, I'm going to take it out on somebody else. And I'm probably going to take it out on somebody I work with, somebody I live with, somebody I report to, somebody close to me. Hurting people are going to hurt people. So your first assumption when somebody says something out of line or does something, your first assumption is, wow, that didn't feel good. I wonder what's going on with them. And you're going to come up with, I know his kid's been in trouble. I know her mom's been sick. I'm not saying excuse bad behavior, but I'm saying cut each other some breaks, some slack, I think is the expression. That life is hard. We're not always at our best. I love a guy named Ken Futch. Ken Futch, he wrote the book, Take Your Best Shot. And when somebody says something that he doesn't like, it sounds offensive to him, rather than react, he'll very calmly say, well, that sounded like an attack. Is that how you meant it? Do you hear the power in those words, Harry? Well, and again, very calmly, you can't say, well, that sounded like an attack. Is that how you meant it? The fight is on. Very calmly, well, that sounded like an attack. Is that how you meant it? The person is
This
probably going to say,
is
you know what? No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that. Please forgive me.
this
Conflicts
is
avoided, prevented.
this is really, really important for our sales managers out there. And this goes along with one of our core strategies is get to know your people.
Yeah.
Get to know your people, because if they are hurting and it shows in their workplace environment, getting to know them will go. So that's how you build loyalty. That's how you keep retention. That's how you keep your people, because I think the big Ivy League colleges did a study, and they said, why do most people stay in their careers, or why do they go to a specific company to work for? And money was like 5 or 6. It's that familial atmosphere where people feel like they're wanted, they're a part of something bigger than themselves, is in the top 1 or 2. And this year, getting to know your people, this is a great strategy to identify those triggers when somebody goes off like that and it's out of character. Get down, deep and create that bond of, hey, what's wrong? What's going on? Is everything okay? Is there anything I can do to help? That's a powerful one. Thank you for that, Doc. I appreciate that.
So another way on that, Harry, is don't take everything personal, because it probably has nothing to do with you. If you take it personal, look out. But
boy, in sales, when we're selling to our prospects and they say no, the rejection, we learn how not to take it personal, because that's part of the sales environment. But you're so right, because sometimes when we're communicating person to person, we forget about that and we do take it personal.
Yeah.
Great thought. Well, Doc, or not Doc, but you feel like a doctor. I know, Ron, we appreciate you. I do certainly appreciate your strategies here, your suggestions, your ideas. This is excellent, because again, it's not just talking about sales, it's talking about relationships. It's not talking about the bottom line, which actually will be a positive result if we get the relationships in place. And that's really what we're all about here. So thank you so much for your time. For our audience, we really appreciate you dialing in today and listening to Ron. Ron Price is, oh, by the way, can you share with people, have an opportunity to share with them how if they want to get more information about the 5 germs and what you do, is there a way that they can access some of your information to improve how they look at things?
Absolutely, Harry, and thank you for that. Yeah, I wrote Play Nice in Your Sandbox at Work. I wrote Play Nice in Your Sandbox at Home. And in each book, the play is, how do you prevent trivial matters from blowing up on you and becoming a thing you don't need, want, or deserve? The nice is, how do you resolve significant differences that you are going to have with other people with whom you interact on a regular basis? Easiest way, send me an email, ron@ronprice.com, ron@ronprice.com. Happy to set up a time to consult with you or give you some more information, ron@ronprice.com.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that with folks, because the stuff that you've got is powerful, Ron. And I know that it can help a lot of people out there, especially with our audience. So thank you for that. With everybody else, thank you so much for dialing in. Continuous sales improvement for sales managers. God bless everybody. Talk to you next time. Thanks again, Ron. Have a great day.
Thank you, Harry. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe to get notified of the latest episode. Also, to learn more about improving your sales team, visit continuoussalesimprovementforteams.com. See you in the next episode, and have a great day.